Hi everyone, once again good morning. What I really like about this hostel is they are offering a free bicycle for a whole day. So I'm gonna take advantage of it. I'm gonna hop on my bike and I'm gonna continue exploring Philly, some other places that I can reach by bike. But before I leave, I really wanted to show you what my mansion looks like in the morning. Unfortunately, I got in really late last night, so I wasn't able to show you around, just the inside. On the outside, it looks phenomenal. Look at that.
Shamunik's mansion was built in 1802 by a rich Philadelphian merchant. It served him as a summer residence for almost 50 years. The building definitely has an old, luxurious charm to it, inside and out.
Okay, enough with the tour. Off we go to explore Philly. Not bad at all.
Fairmont Park, where my hostel is located, is a 2,000-acre public park that has a lot to offer, from the historical residences, newly built treetop adventure courses, to horse stables. Let the day 2 adventure begin.
To say this bicycle is totally uncomfortable is not to say anything. I literally have to hold on with both hands because the seat, I'm gonna have to try to adjust it. But you know what? Free is better than nothing.
Had to visit the place where all Philadelphians and tourists come at 7 a.m. Philadelphia Art Museum. No, the museum doesn't open until 10 o'clock, but everyone is here not because they want to see the art, but to work out. Ever since the movie Rocky came out, the steps of Philadelphia Art Museum became a very popular attraction, not only for tourists, but for Philadelphians as well.
Rocky Steps challenge accepted. Done.
Come on, it's only 72 steps. While I was filming this, I did it 3 times in a row. Relax, people, it's not that challenging. On the steps, you can see some clever merchandisers who already figured out a way to make extra money by selling t-shirts and other items with Rocky logo.
Rocky shirts, Rocky medallions here.
By the way, if you decide to come to the art museum at this early hour, don't forget to take a picture with the Rocky statue. It's going to get very crowded soon.
Hey guys, I gotta admit, I don't really like visiting museums that much, except for the certain ones. So right now I'm taking you to that kind of museum that I don't mind visiting. Just a few steps from Philadelphia Art Museum, there's a Franklin Institute. That's exactly where I'm taking you.
Franklin Institute, named after Benjamin Franklin, is one of the oldest science centers in the United States. We all know Benjamin Franklin is a great politician and a founding father. But besides, he was extremely interested in science and used to conduct science experiments that helped to make some of the greatest discoveries.
At the age of 42, Benjamin Franklin sold his very successful business to make time to learn about science and conduct his experiments.
Even as a little kid, Benjamin Franklin was already a great inventor that came up with something that we use in our modern life. He taught himself how to swim by looking at the books. Then he decided that he wanted to swim faster, so he invented flippers and fins. Then, to swim even faster, he simply took a kite and was pulled by the wind in a Boston harbor. Discovery of the Gulf Stream. The invention of Franklin's stove that was used to heat up homes. Bifocal glasses. All of these are Benjamin Franklin's inventions and discoveries. But what really made Benjamin Franklin a legend was his work with electricity. Franklin showed interest in electricity when it wasn't quite a science yet, but simply curiosity.
Charge, discharge, plus, minus, battery. Those were the terms that Franklin came up with while conducting his experiments.
By conducting experiments using Huxley generator, Franklin came up with his own theory and terminology. But his biggest achievement, the one that he is the most famous for, is the Kite Experiment.
Franklin had a theory and wanted to prove that lightning is an actual form of electricity,
which completely contradicted the religious concept of that time, when lightning and thunder were considered a form of punishment and anger from God. If a lightning struck, an entire town could completely burn down. After Franklin proves that lightning is nothing but charged particles in the air, he quickly invents a lightning rod, which purpose is to collect electricity from lightning and harmlessly transfer it to the ground. This invention has secured Benjamin Franklin's noble spot in history.
every building, every structure, trucks of some height, even airplanes, they all use lightning rods that were invented by Benjamin Franklin.
In Modern Franklin Institute, there are many other very interesting and interactive exhibits. The inventions made by science from all over the world. The giant heart, the neural climber, robotics and build a robot station for kids and adults, .3D printer that can create absolutely anything, and even an observatory with a giant telescope. I really like the weather station, where you can not only learn about weather forming process, but also try yourself as a weather reporter.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the next couple of days, we are expecting absolutely wonderful weather all over the planet. Plus, no hurricanes are expected for the month of October, when we have to go on the cruise. Thank you for your attention. So, in short, Franklin Institute is a great place to visit, so come check it out for yourself.
After visiting the Franklin Institute, I took my bike and headed straight for the best lunch in Philly.
If you're wondering where to go for a great atmosphere, food, or drinks, head straight to the South Street.
South Street is the edgiest part of Philadelphia that mixes different cultures, artists, businessmen, foodies, shoppers, musicians, and many more. On this 15-block stretch, South Street houses over 300 eateries and nearly 60 shops. Many come here for very diverse restaurants and boutiques, unique architectural features, and murals, and even sculptures of ants crawling on the side of the building. But the most famous spot on South Street is Jim's Steaks, serving, from what I heard, the best cheesesteaks in Philadelphia. I got lucky. Today the line was not long at all. Normally, the line stretches out of the building and around the corner. I only had to wait about 10 minutes. Let's see what all these celebrities and locals are bragging about.
Hi, can I get a cheesesteak with wet?
The correct way to order cheesesteak in Philly is with wet, which means cheese whiz and onions. This is the most traditional Philadelphian way. All cheesesteaks are served on the tray for here or to go.
Look at the size of this freaking thing. It's gonna be my lunch and dinner all together. Watch.
Crispy toasted bun and juicy cheesesteak inside. So mouth-watering.
Water farm. The best lunch I've had here. Water farm.
The cheesesteak was so big I could only finish a half of it. And while I was enjoying my lunch, I got a chance to look at the walls and study pictures of all the celebrities that had visited this place and absolutely loved it. This was the best meal I have had, and I am saving the other half of my cheesesteak for dinner.
There is a place on South Street that used to be pretty ugly and run down, but with a little imagination, some everyday supplies, and one artist turned it into a spot that gets attention from all the Instagrammers in the world.
On the 10th block of the South Street, there's a magic place. The place that makes you think of the extent of human imagination. Philadelphia Magic Gardens is the product of imagination of one artist, Isaiah Zagar, who moved to the area in 1960 and quickly started decorating the neighborhood walls and alleys with handmade tiles, mirrors, bicycle wheels, bottles, and items from different cultures. The work of this artist and many others who joined him was on the edge to be dismantled a few times through the years to make way for new projects in town. But the local residents loved Zagar's work so much that each time they have protested, and it was decided to keep the neighborhood the way it was, and the new project would be developed somewhere else. Nowadays, Philadelphia Magic Gardens has a gallery inside the building and a bi-level sort of maze on the outside, where the artist replicated his life and his influence.
A lot of weird things, bicycle wheels, beer bottles, plates, some Mexican statues, wine bottles, glass, mirrors. It's almost like you end up in Barcelona and admiring famous Gaudi.
All of these items were either found on the street or were brought to the artist by other people who appreciated his work. To me, it's a genius idea, not just from the artistic point of view, but also from environmental side. Just think, all of these unwanted items would end up in the trash, but instead they became a recycled art installation that collects $10 from a single visitor. There's even a sitting area where you can relax and chat with your friends about what you experienced.
Well, it's a cute, small place, pretty quick walk through. Can't really understand at first whether or not you were ended up in Barcelona, you're still in Philly. Pretty cute for $10.
On my way out, I noticed these two artists at work.
Are you guys gonna do like the entire street or the entire block?
Oh no, just this.
Just this little one? Do you actually belong to the Magic Gardens or you can? Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're for the preservation.
Oh, that's nice. Wow.
It was really cool to see them matching up pieces of different tiles together and building new art. As Zager himself said, Magic Gardens are here as long as Philadelphia is here, and it will continue to grow. Philadelphia Magic Gardens is not the only public gallery. Introducing Philadelphia Murals that I decided to explore on my way to the next attraction.
Mural Art is a project that started in Philadelphia over 30 years ago. Well, honestly, to me, it's genius. You take graffiti, what technically ruins the city, and you turn it into a street gallery.
Murals in Philadelphia are located all over the city, not just downtown. They all tell some powerful story. Whether it is immigration and the problems people were facing, diversity and equality, all of the murals were created by different artists. And the ones that I saw in Chinatown were amazing.
There are actually more than 3,600 murals in Philadelphia. You can take a free tour, free guided tour. I'm gonna leave a link in the description if you want to take a tour, or you can download a map and walk around yourself. It's a 1 mile north tour and 1 mile south tour, and it will cover about 30 of the murals.
Of course, there are much more murals in the city of Philadelphia, but this self-guided tour is a great way to get to learn the city and its citizens and think about your purpose in life. At the end of my trip to Philadelphia, I decided to visit one of the darkest places in history of the city. Eastern State Penitentiary. Once the most famous and expensive prison in the world, Eastern State is now standing in ruins, with crumbling cell blocks and empty guard towers. These large brick walls once held the most notorious American criminals, including Slick Willie and Scarface.
Thanks to its history and haunting and frightening appearance, Eastern State Penitentiary is now one of the most popular tourist attractions in Philly.
The entrance fee includes the self-guided audio tour, which was very helpful.
Eastern State Penitentiary was opened in October 1829 and was the first prison in the world that started using a separate system, or Pennsylvania system, that kept prisoners in separate cells rather than keeping them together and forcing them work in silence. This new system replaced the concept of strictly punishment for a concept of rehabilitation. Over 300 other prisons all over the world quickly adopted this model and also started using separate systems. You just take a look at the accommodations back in 1800s. Each cell had a toilet with the running water over it, and the toilet was flushed once a day. Even the presidents back then didn't have running water. And also they had a heating system with pipes running through the cell, and the hot water would go through them and heat up the cell. The laws were much different back then. For example, the punishment for distribution of alcohol would be imprisonment. Eastern State was built in the shape of a star with 9 cell blocks going out in different directions. Some of the cell blocks are closed for visitors, and there are some that I visited the most. One of them is cell block number 2. Many interesting things can be found in the cell blocks. For example, a prison barber shop, or a shoe repair shop. The dark appearance of the Eastern State attracted many famous Hollywood directors. Some of your favorite movies were filmed inside the walls of Eastern State. Its chilling appearance, crumbling paint, and rusted staircases would make any movie a blockbuster. Cell block number 2 also houses a very famous Al Capone's cell, aka Scarface, who spent here only 1 year for carrying an unsealed .38 caliber and given the most luxurious accommodations, including a cellmate. I didn't really think that this prison was haunted. I mean, it's like the most lenient prison in the entire world. And look at Alcazar. Most of the inmates were kept here for up to 2 years, and that's pretty much it. Although Eastern State had a death row cell block number 15 for executions through the electric chair, the cell block were used mostly for scaring inmates and was designed for the most dangerous of all. Through the time, there were few attempts to break out of the Eastern State. Back in 1945, a very famous Willie Sutton, a bank robber, together with other 11 inmates, escaped through a 97-foot tunnel that they dug out without attracting any attention from the guards. Amazing. During prison renovation, additional 30 unfinished tunnels were discovered. So right now, Eastern State operates as a museum in the historic site. But in October, it turns into a haunted house. Terror behind the walls. So if you're brave enough, dare to visit. Besides simply touring the Eastern State Penitentiary, any visitor can also learn about the life inside the prison walls, thanks to the project called Hidden Lives Illuminated that had been in works for the past 3 years.
Tonight's guest films.
A total of 20 short films animated by currently incarcerated inmates, all of them telling their own story about mistakes that they were made, time that was lost, occasional criminal injustice, and the recovery process. I watched one of the most powerful films, Last Day of Freedom.
When they started bringing back the death penalty, I embraced it. The death penalty was fine with me as long as it was your brother, your son, or your daughter. It was okay for somebody else's family members. I supported the death penalty. Never gave a thought for the family members left behind of the executed. And then one day it came knocking on my door. I see a little brother. Manny's in Vietnam. Manny's in war. I said, what? K-Son was all over the news. Ma had no idea Manny was in such precarious situation. She'd have been terrified had she known. Manny did his time. He came home after his first tour duty. After his second tour duty, he came home. One day, Manny was in his apartment, and something startled him. A backfire of an automobile, something startled him. He got his little 18-month-old baby, little Manny Jr., and he goes, the bombs are coming, we gotta get the baby out. Can't you hear it? The bombs are coming. So he snatches the baby, and he starts running, and his wife is screaming that he was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia. After the first wife, he goes to the mental hospital. After the second wife, he goes into the mental hospital. He loses his family. So Manny traded his hooch in Vietnam for a cardboard box on the street of Providence, Rhode Island. They said he was a monster. I don't see that. I knew what was wrong. I take him to pool halls, shoot up. When we get him on pool tables, he'd hang around the pool table. He wasn't courteous. He was like, itching for. What will my mother think? Would she understand? I had to do what I did. What would Manny think? He asked me if I could get him to confess. And I went in there, and I noticed they had taken his socks off, and he was free. He was shivering. One of the regrets that I have is I didn't spend more time with Manny because I took it for granted that he wasn't going nowhere. And I took it for granted that sooner or later he'll be down in a place where we can take him lunch, where he won't be in a prison, he'll be in a hospital. I had hopes, you know. We heard about they were gonna get Manny, he was gonna get his Purple Heart. I said, sure enough, that's gonna stop Manny's execution. When it was all over, I see my brother lying there in his white socks.
Wow, those were some very powerful images. And it's all made by people who are currently incarcerated. Really, really good project. I'm gonna put a link down below if you ever want to watch all of those movies. They're all available online.
Philadelphia is a great place to visit, whether on a tight budget or not. There are many historical sites, great restaurants, modern hangouts, and entertainment. Of course, 2 days are not enough to fully understand this exciting, diverse city. But it's definitely enough to get impressed and charmed by its unique atmosphere. Please let me know what you think about this beautiful city, and remember, never cancel your vacation. Change your destination.